Now let's start working on our second task for today, which is Lagrange interpolation. Here we have the question: use Lagrange interpolation to determine interpolating polynomial for 3 data points that are given below. So it's a quadratic Lagrange interpolation because we have got 3 data points here. So find the quadrant interpolating polynomial. Now let's go ahead and start working on this. At first, I would just like to write the formulas here. So to find out the polynomial, the formula is y0 times L0x plus you have y1 times L1x and y2 times L2x. Now, what are the values of L0, L1, and L2? So, L0x, to write the formula is easy. That is, at the top, because this is 0, we have to avoid the term x0. Before that, maybe it's a good idea that I write down my points here. So, okay, my points were minus 2, comma, minus 27, and 0, comma, minus 1, and 1, comma, 0. So here, minus 2 is the x0, minus 27 is y0, and so on, x1, y1, x2, y2. Now, to get the formula here, we have to first subtract from x 2 values, which is unrelated to the formula. So here, if it is 0, we will avoid here having x0. So we'll have x1 and x2. And then here, because now we'll take the x0. So we'll take x0 minus something and x0 minus something. So this is decided formula already, but I'm just showing you how you can remember this formula so that you don't have to by heart it. So here, you will subtract from x0. So whatever you subtracted above here you subtracted x1. So down here also you will subtract x1, and above here you subtracted x2. So down here also we subtract x2. So that's the formula for L0x. Now let's go ahead and find out the formula for L1x. So L1x will have the same thing here, but this time we'll have x minus which value? So here, because it's 1, so we'll avoid at the top x1, and leaving x1 we have x0 and x2, right? So we have x0, x1, and x2, and if we are leaving x1 for the time being, we have x0 and x2 to be considered. And then down here we will be subtracting from x1 the values that we subtracted above, which is x0 at the top here and x2 at the top here. So that makes the formula here, and so on for L2x. So here again we'll have x minus, leaving x2, we have x0 and x minus x1 divided by x2 minus x0 divided by x2 minus x1. So that's very simple to kind of remember the formula. Now here we'll now just replace the values. So x will remain as it is, minus x1 we'll take from above, which is 0, times we have x minus x2, which is 1, divided by, here we have x0, that's minus 2, minus x1, which is 0. And then here we have x0 again, which is minus 2 minus x2, that's 1. Now here we have x minus 0 is x times x minus 1, divided by, here we have minus 2 minus 0 is minus 2, times minus 2 minus 1 is minus 3. So minus 2 times minus 3 would be plus 6. I would just leave it here like this rather than opening the bracket, because that would make it more confusing when you want to write down the polynomial. Now here we have x again, minus x0. So minus 2, I'll just write it as plus 2. And then here we have x minus x2, that's 1. And down here we have x1, that is 0, minus x0, which is minus 2. So minus 1 is again plus here. And then we have x1, again 0, minus x2, that's 1. So here we have, again, I'll keep the brackets as they are, minus 1 divided by 2 times minus 1, that's minus 2. And here we have again x minus x0, so that's minus minus, so plus 2 times x minus x1, which is 0, divided by x2, 1, that is minus x0, so 1 plus 2 times x2 again, that's 1 minus x1, which is 0. So that will be, so here we have x minus 0, which will make it x here, times x plus 2, divided by 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 times 1 is 3. Okay, so we got now L0, L1, L2, and we have already Y0, Y1, and Y2. So we'll use these values here to get the formula for the polynomial. Now, let's copy the polynomial formula and work it out on the next page. Alright. Now for Y0, you have the value as minus 27, Y1 is minus 1, and Y2 is 0. So here we have minus 27 times L0, that is, we just found out that's x times x minus 1 divided by 6. So here we have x times x minus 1 divided by 6, plus we have Y1, the value of which is minus 1, times we have L1, which was x plus 2 times x minus 1 divided by minus 2. Then we have Y2, the value of which is 0, times L2 is x times x plus 2 divided by 3. So here, as you can see, 0 times something would be 0, so we don't consider the term anymore. And this I could write it as minus 27 over 6 times x minus 1. And here we have minus and minus will get cancelled, so 1 divided by 2. So you can say plus 1 over 2 times x plus 2 times x minus 1. And that's the polynomial that we are trying to find in this question. And that's the end of this section.